would like to welcome the founding partner and CEO of Soma Matter, a pioneering in sustainable agriculture and ethical food systems. Can we have a collective applause for Sheikh Dr. Majid Sultan and Qassimi?
Good morning, Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, ministers and guests. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I see some friends in the crowd, and it's always good to see people we've worked long and hard with. I came today thinking about what the most critical issue that we're tackling at my consultancy is that matters to the rest of the world. And it's water. Very specifically, we're talking about a real crisis, a global imbalance of water systems around the world. 2/3 of global population, that's 4 billion people, live in severe water scarcity, at least 1 month a year. We have 2.9 billion people and 55% of global food production in areas where they're experiencing decline in water storage. And that water puts food security at a threat as well, because without water, we cannot hope to have irrigation for about 23% of global cereal production that could be at risk. Now, in the MENA region, we're at the epicenter of water scarcity. The average water availability here is about 480 cubic meters per capita. That's annually. Critically below the absolute water scarcity threshold of 500 cubic meters per capita, and far below the 5,500 cubic meters globally. So how water is so critical in this region, and it underpins food security, it's very simple. The water irrigates the crops, it provides income, it provides nourishment, and it also helps stem droughts. And without that irrigation, we can't hope to ensure food security. Now, the World Bank and the FAO have already flagged many water shocks globally, and the fact that irrigation, agriculture is all at risk. But only this September, the Minister of Water Resources from Iraq announced that they wouldn't be planting crops for fear of loss of those water resources. Here in the UAE, we are in a real challenge with our environment, and we have been doing many things for many years, and I've had the pleasure of working for both the Environment Agency of Abu Dhabi as well as the Federal Ministry for Climate Change and Environment on these specific challenges. Our UAE National Food Security Strategy for 2051 speaks on sustainable food production and resilient agricultural practices. But to succeed, the UAE Water Security Strategy of 2036 must first ensure sustainable water access during both normal and emergency times. Now, we have to keep in mind that agriculture globally consumes about 70% of fresh water resources. Why the UAE is very uniquely positioned to tackle this? Well, first and foremost, we always think about the UAE like a laboratory. We have extreme environments, and we have the foresight and the long-termism of our leadership to invest and to support solutions to solve these problems. And amongst many challenges, we have a call to action globally, whether it is from the ministries of the federal government or the Abu Dhabi leadership and their governments, or the many, many entities, and there are many here as well, as I can see they're in the crowd, from the Mohammed bin Zayed Water Initiative to all the activities across government. There are two challenges that still remain. The term green water speaks about water that is stored in soil, and in green matter, forests, and any nature-based environment. They generate approximately half of all rainfall on land. A comprehensive strategy must actually integrate this large-scale management of ecosystems and land use because they are the foundation of our hydrological cycles. The other challenge is that all of this water challenge needs funding. And unfortunately, if we want to be able to tackle SDG 6, the clean water and sanitation, globally, we actually need, on an annual basis, over $1 trillion per year. So that is quite a massive investment. Globally, that investment is significantly short of that target, and 91% of that spending actually comes from government and the public sector. And the private sector is really lagging. So if we're going to be looking at private sector solving something, it really must be to invest in water solutions. So how do we in the MENA region actually tackle this? Protecting water security in the region requires 3 types of intervention: harnessing natural systems, implementing stringent policy, reform, and finally that investment. When we talk about harnessing natural systems, rain harvesting and dams already are a major part of that. But we could do more by developing biodiversity to support this rainwater harvesting. Having worked long at the Environment Agency and been head of terrestrial biodiversity, protected areas, the large ecosystems that are managed, are seen in many countries as a cost, but these are natural resources that serve our hydrological cycles and all the other services they provide. Artificial recharge is actually plausible in this part of the world to make sure our aquifers are refilled. And ultimately, looking for high potential of water infiltration to be able to ensure that water is going into those aquifers is critical. On a policy and investment, immediate management across the MENA on how water is managed is going to be critical. And unfortunately, there are parts of the world where there is a flashpoint on natural water resources, whether one country is damming a river that becomes the source, or in other regions where simple international treaties are being ignored. Internally, policy reform on the actual value of water needs to happen, or else we're going to catch ourselves in a corner. And ultimately, making sure subsidies support do not take away from the water use is critical. Lastly, when we talk about investment, it's very easy to talk about infrastructure. But there are technologies, there are practices, and there is also education of the end user that needs to happen. And if that investment can be targeted and that we can have this resounding call of investment from this group today, working between companies, between countries, I think we have a chance.